Yeah, so the next ride, which I did just last December, was to Ushuaia. Now, to ride my own motorcycle down there and back, it would take me like 4 to 5 months. And so my wife would give me about 30 days to go on long trips, once or twice, once a year or two.
Reasonable,
So
yeah.
what I decided is just to save time, I cheated a little bit and just flew from LA to Santiago, Chile,
Fair enough.
and then to another town of Osorno.
Okay.
And Osorno is kind of the beginning of the Patagonia.
Yes.
Patagonia is the southern tip.
Yes.
So it's just like North America, you have Alaska, which is one tip of North America. Patagonia is the southern tip between Argentina on the Atlantic Ocean and then Chile on the Pacific Ocean. And so I flew down, rented my BMW adventure motorcycle in Osorno. There's a place that you could rent them.
So you rented.
I rented.
You didn't bring your bike
I thought
down.
about shipping, but I looked into the shipping cost. It's like $5,000 to ship.
Cool.
And then when you get there, clearing the customs is a lot of hassle.
Yeah.
So you're not assured that you're going to get it back in time. So
Okay.
a lot of people said if you're going for less than 2 months, you're better off just renting down there. And it's pricey, but it's cheaper than shipping your own bike.
For sure. I wonder if most people have in mind how much riding you're going to be doing when they say it's better to rent.
Yeah, so I tell them that, I'm kind of planning my route, planning my sort of distances, and so I figure, okay, I'm going to be riding between 20 to 21 days, so I need to rent for those period. And so it's about $250 a day to rent these BMW adventure motorcycles.
Wow, okay.
So it's about $5,000.
Yeah.
But that's about the cost of shipping your bike from LA to down there anyway.
Yeah.
But then you don't have the hassle of clearing the customs.
Right, for sure.
Save time.
I'm with you.
So
Makes
this
sense.
is a map of Patagonia region, and I made a copy of this map from my National Geographic map book. And so I planned my route from Osorno all the way down to the bottom, which is the Ushuaia in this island, the Tierra del Fuego. It's a big island. That's where the Ushuaia, Argentina is. And I'm crisscrossing the Andes Mountains between the Pacific side on the Chile and then on the kind of a plain area in Argentina. And going back. I crossed the border maybe about 5 or 6 times while I'm riding down.
Yeah, this map doesn't look as straightforward as your other ones did. It's a
Yes.
lot more.
So the planning for this trip took longer just because, these are foreign countries. I don't speak Spanish, and information is not as available.
Right.
And so I had to rely on other motorcycle travelers, routes. So you need to do a lot of research and preparation to plan your trip and plan your route.
Right.
And this ride was about 3,200 miles long, which is about the distance from LA to New York, but you're riding through the mountainous regions in Andes. And then the other thing is I had to pack everything and carry everything onto the airplane. So that was another challenge. Before, I had to just pack everything into the panniers and top box and bring with me. But in this case, I had to bring. Not only that, the other thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to hike to the Fitzroy mountain peak in a town called Air Charten. It's about a 14-mile hike, a round trip with about 3,500 feet elevation.
Oh, wow, okay.
It's a pretty challenging hike,
Yeah,
I wanted to do it. So I had to bring my backpacking gear, hiking shoes, and other things to hiking poles and stuff like that to hike. So yeah, I was able to put everything in between my dry bag and the yellow dry bag and the hiking backpack. And flew with a one bag checked in. So flew from LA to Santiago, which took about to Osorno about 17-hour flight. And the next slide. Yeah, so I was joined by 3 other riders who were looking for a tour company to go on a motorcycle adventure tour, but they were all sold out. And they found out through some motorcycle riders that I'm going to Patagonia by myself. So they reached out to me and asked me if they could join since I had already planned the route.
You'd already done all the work.
I checked the rental company and they had 3 more bikes that they could rent. So yeah, so I said, sure, come along. And
cool.
So yeah, so they got a nice adventure tour through my planning, and so this is town of Bariloche, and now this is a region where President Teddy Roosevelt traveled through when he was president or after his presidency.
Okay.
Because he traveled to this region long time ago, and I was saw this totem poles, which were totem poles that I saw in a village in South Korea when I was growing up. And also
Really?
these totem poles are in Alaska in Native American villages.
Huh.
So it confirms the it's not a theory, it's a scientifically proven thing, but the migration of people from Africa to Asia down
Right.
to across Alaska down to South America, North America.
Yeah,
And the cultural artifacts are still there.
that's incredible.
Yeah, that was very incredible to me that such totem poles are there.
And what are they? Like, do they know what
So
they
this is
represent?
called, in Korean, 천하 대장군 and 지하 여장군, means like the men are like the king of the under the sky, above the ground, and then the women are the queen of the below the ground. So
Gotcha.
that's kind of and it's meant to keep the evil spirits away from
Mhm.
entering the village.
Uh-huh.
And so this was the town of Bariloche. Now this wooden cabin is famous because it's where Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid lived while they were on their run in Argentina.
Okay. Oh, wow.
I remember learning about them when I was riding through Utah,
Mm-hmm.
the Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kids, and when I was riding through there, this is where they lived, and they were robbing banks down there too.
Yep.
So they were eventually killed in I think Bolivia there was a manhunt,
Yes.
massive international manhunt,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was kind of a very interesting that they keep showing up in the places that I'm riding.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it was very interesting. Yeah, and when you're riding, sometimes the road is
Not a road.
flooded with like stream water,
Yeah.
and it forms. So you need to just ride across it. So this is one of a few times where I had to cross the water.
I was
water
telling you
crossing.
earlier, I feel like I've seen more. I haven't seen any roads.
Yeah,
And any
there's
of
a lot
these
of dirt
pictures
road.
and videos.
Yeah.
This is
I
just-
love riding on the dirt road, and that's
Yeah.
why it's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And Carretera Austral is this famous highway in Chile where the dictator, forgot his name, Pinochet built to connect some of the southern villages of Chile to the Santiago and the more developed area. It's a beautiful highway that cuts through a lot of the Andes mountains and foothills.
And are there a lot of motorcyclists who go through this area?
Oh yeah, this is...
I can tell because of the stickers.
Oh yeah, the stickers. So there's stickers everywhere.
Right.
But this Carretera Austral is especially famous because it's just so beautiful. And it's very challenging. And you'll see a couple of photos and videos next. So this is a town of Koihake. No, this might be another town, but
That's a plant.
it's a fjord, just like you see in Norway, where the glaciers used to be present, and then it flowed out and created this big opening,
Sure.
and it's connected to the Pacific Ocean. But the leaves are so humongous there. I don't know what what's in the soil, but it was amazing how big these leaves were.
Yeah, whatever they're feeding their plants down there, it's working.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
big old leaves. So while this next picture or video is loading, you had to fly down there, and so you had to be a little more discerning with your gear. Like how were the considerations different? How did you decide like what to leave behind this time versus
that's
what
a
you would
good
normally
question.
take?
The first decision I made is that I'm not going to camp. So
Okay.
it's just too much equipment to carry,
Sure, makes sense.
both onto the airplane as well as on the motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also the weather in Patagonia is quite cold and it's quite windy. And so it's very unpleasant.
Even when you were there, because you were
Even
there,
in the summer. So it was
Yeah.
December.
Yeah.
December here is summertime down there.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
it's
of
in
course.
southern hemisphere, the season is flipped.
Yes.
So December down there is summer, but even summer, it was very chilly
Okay.
and very windy.
Interesting.
So yeah, so it was a good decision that we didn't camp out because it would have been way too windy with chilly at night to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was one of the decisions. I think other things, I mean, I had to bring the hiking gear in this trip because I wanted to hike to Fitzroy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that Patagonia jacket has that logo. That's Fitzroy
Yeah.
Peak. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
I had to bring that. That was extra that I normally don't bring.
Mhm.
But that was kind of my bucket list to hike. Can we? Yeah, so I'm riding on the Carretera Austral, and it was a very windy road, and it was raining, and there was a truck coming down in a pretty narrow road, so I had to slow down, let the truck go by, and so I could gently turn and keep riding. And it's raining, it's wet. My GoPro camera was broken, mount on the helmet was broken, so I'm recording with my iPhone on a RAM mount on the motorcycle. So, in the next slide, it was very windy road, and so I took a picture of the Google Maps, and so those blue lines are basically the roads.
Yeah.
Those are like hairpin turns all the way up to the top in a wet, gravelly, slippery road.
Looks like almost like a digestive tract. If you've ever
Yes.
seen one of them.
Yes.
So I've been told. That's pretty.
So yeah, this is when we got
That's
to the top
beautiful.
of the mountain, top of the hill. It was raining and drizzly and cold. You could see the clouds on the mountain and the snow on the mountain peaks.
And this is summer.
This is summer.
This is summer.
This is like December,
Peak summer.
December 10th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And more dirt road.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm recording my fellow riders who are riding along the dirt road. The mountains range in the back is the Andes Mountain. I mean, Andes Mountain is the longest mountain range in the world. It's like everywhere.
Do you find your mind goes to different places depending on where you are? Like when you let your mind wander and you just think about whatever. Is it different depending on the trip you're on, the place you're in?
So, you know, one of the things about my motorcycle riding is because you're balancing on two wheels and there are other objects around you, and also the scenery, the nature is so beautiful
Yeah.
that your mind is completely focused.
You're fine.
And
Okay.
all your sensory input is in operation.
Sure.
So visually, audio, hearing, your skin is feeling the air.
Mm-hmm.
You're feeling the vibration of the motorcycle engine running,
Mm-hmm.
and the surface of the road. So it's a hyper sensory experience.
Yeah.
And also it's dangerous, so you don't want to fall down or crash or slip.
Right.
And so you have to be constantly alert. So there are times where it's a straight road, it's paved road, so it's kind of monotonous. Then that's when I turn on the music through my helmet. I have a Bluetooth speaker inside my helmet, so I listen to
okay.
music. And I must have listened to my playlist in my iPhone for like 10 times or 20 times right now because
Sure.
I listen to the same music over and over again because I write so much. But yeah, so that's how I keep myself alert as well as entertained
Right,
when
but-
it's kind of monotonous.
But when you're riding the intestine,
when you're
you're
writing that, you're like
you're focused. You're locked in.
You have to totally concentrate. Otherwise, it's easy to fall down and crash.
I get that. So what do we have here?
So this is empanada. We stopped at this small market / restaurant / homemade like empanada shop, and empanada is like the staple diet there.
Mhm.
So it reminded me of mandu, which is like Korean pot stickers or gyoza in Japanese word.
Of course. Yeah.
And so it's very popular. It's very good. The filling is, it could be chicken or beef or pork or vegetable or cheese. So we had lots of empanada during this trip.
I know in this part of the world.
Yeah, so this is another ride through the dirt road across the Andes Mountain, crossing from Argentina to Chile.
Which time? You said you happened like a few times.
Yeah, so this was near between Coyhaique and maybe Perito Moreno, which is a small town in Argentina.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I took another satellite image of our location to relative to North America and home in LA.
You're biggest of all here.
Yes, I keep maps getting
You just keep getting
smaller
bigger.
and smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're there's a video of riding across the snow-covered mountain along the roadside, but you cross into all kinds of weather. In this case, it was snowing. Yeah, here we go. So there's snow on the ground, and the road snow is melting, so it's slippery. So you have to be really careful. There's still snow on the road, so it could be like it's not difficult to wipe out unless you concentrate.
On which trip were you most cautious about the roads, and in which trip were you most cautious about the drivers?
You know, the most cautious about drivers are when I'm crossing, like going through big towns, like when I'm riding through Las Vegas on my way up to Canada or Alaska, or when I'm riding through Toronto.
Gotcha. Okay.
These big towns have a lot of traffic, and it's you cannot avoid going through the big city to get to your destination.
Right.
So the traffic is present, but we have this lane splitting thing where motorcycles are allowed to ride between the two cars on the lane because if there's enough space. So
Yeah.
I do that to save some time if there's significant traffic congestion.
Sure.
In terms of the road, I would say the roads in Alaska as well as Canada near Tuktoyaktuk, as well as in Patagonia, the wet roads when it's raining, it's most dangerous
Yeah.
because it's very slippery.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So the next, and there's a marble cathedral on this lake between Chile and Argentina.
That's really cool.
Interesting because that lake is where the founder of North Face drowned in an accident while he was kayaking.
Yeah. Doug Tompkins.
That's right. Yeah. So that's a very beautiful lake. It has two names. One that Chilean people calls one name, and the Argentinian side they call it another name,
I see.
like Lake Buenos Aires for the Argentinian side, and Lake General or something in the Chile side. And there are many checkpoints along the way. In this case, it was a Chilean cavalleros or Chilean like sheriff or police. They have a checkpoint to make sure that you're not carrying any drugs or you have proper paperwork. And so we had all the paperwork, so there was no problem. And the unlike some of the countries in Central America, which I heard are kind of police are expecting some kind of payoff. The ones that we ran into in Chile and Argentina were clean. There was no issue of them expecting any kind of payment.
Yeah.
And that's largely because Chile and Argentina are two of the wealthiest countries in South America. It's the largest economy and the highest GDP. So the standard of living is much higher compared to some of the other countries in Central America or even South America,
Okay.
like Paraguay or Brazil or Bolivia or countries like that. And we're riding along this narrow dirt trail along the lake to cross into Argentina this time. So you can see that it's really large enough for one car, but it's a two-way highway. So if there's a car coming the other way, then you have to slow down and pull over to one side. Otherwise, you get. This is the Lake Buenos Aires. And to the left is a cliff that goes all the way down. So some parts have these side guardrails, but other parts there's no guardrails like here. So unless you're careful, you could like go off the cliff.
At any point, did you jump into this water?
No, not this water. Yeah. And there are many bridges that you cross because of a lot of rivers and lakes along the Andes mountains and Pacific.
So you landed in Chile, Santiago, and then you rode down and then back up?
Then back up a little bit to a town of Punta Arenas. That's
Gotcha.
like a large town down there.
Okay.
From there, you could catch a plane to Santiago, Chile,
Okay.
and then back to U.S.
Gotcha, with you.
Yeah. So this picture shows how rocky the road is down
Yeah,
there.
really.
So they're like ostrich egg-sized rocks that are really bumpy.
Mhm.
And the next video should show what it's like to ride there. We lost the audio here, but yeah, just
You can see it.
my friend was riding behind me. He recorded this on his iPhone on his handlebar. You can see how shaky it is because of the road conditions.
So to your point about needing to stay focused and engaged at all times,
Exactly.
how do you navigate riding on a surface like that?
So, takes some amount of training. So in my case, I sometimes go riding in some of the OHV or off-road, off-highway vehicle parks.
Mm-hmm.
So in Santa Clarita, there is a OHV. I forgot the name, and there's one in Gorman area called Hungry Valley,
Okay,
and then there's one in Cleghorn near Hesperia,
sure.
near Wrightwood. So there are a lot of places where you could go practice riding on a mountain road or sandy road in Mojave Desert.
Yeah.
So you do a certain amount of training. I also attended a rawhide adventure motorcycle training class in Santa Clarita.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3-day class. They teach you how to ride through the gravels, dirt, through the mountain roads. So that was very helpful.
Very nice.
But yeah, you need to have some experience riding in this kind of road conditions. Otherwise, it could be dangerous.
Yeah. That's not a motorcycle.
Yeah, so here we stayed a night at this estancia, which is a Spanish word for like a ranch. So there's lots of land. This is like a 20,000 acre ranch, estancia, and I got to ride on their horse to ride around one parts of it. He's the 4th generation of the ranch owner.
Oh, wow.
Who's lived there, and it was very interesting to learn about his family history, how they settled there and started this estancia, right, of 20,000 acres, just an enormous amount of land. And the lamb barbecue is a very popular thing down there.
Yeah.
So they cook right on the like a fireplace-like oven. It's a long, slow cook. They cook for like 4 or 5 hours, so it's very delicious.
That sounds
Yeah, it's very
delightful.
delicious. And then we finally get to the town of El Charten, or the Fitzroy. So this is as we're entering the town of El Charten. That's Fitzroy Mountain, reasonably clear view.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend took this picture of me from behind, and it's just so beautiful as you approach. The mountain gets bigger and bigger as you get closer. And I stop at a couple of points to take some pictures. And I stop whenever I can. Oh, I think we missed a video, Phoebe. So there was an AI video. So when I was riding through here, my son here, David, he created this drone shot, but it's actually not a drone shot. It's actually AI generated video.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was amazed at how real it looked. And I don't know, it just took some prompt. And because my son is a computer science student, he was able to generate this kind of AI generated video
Very cool.
with a minimal effort. I was very impressed.
I like how there are 4 mirror shadows on the ground, one of which is coming out of your head.
Yeah. And here I'm hiking up to Fitzroy. So I'm carrying my hiking backpack and hiking gear. It's just so beautiful. And I finally made it to the top after a very hard hike. It was very steep, almost felt like 60-degree vertical, and I felt like climbing mountains there, but finally made it to the top after hiking from like 6 hours. It's covered with cloud. Usually it's cloudy, so I took some pictures. And then on the day that we were leaving, it cleared up, so I was able to get this shot.
Wow.
That's the Mount Fitzroy in the background. It's a humongous granite-like peak that juts up into the sky. And then, I don't know what happened to the audio, but I'm holding my iPhone camera in self-video while I'm riding with Fitzroy and riding friends following me behind. So I film this while I'm riding when I know it's safe and there are no other cars nearby.
Yeah.
And I'm riding pretty slow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to do that.
How fast are you riding in this?
I'm
video?
riding here maybe about 30, 35 miles per hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you run into a lot of motorcycle riders on the road, especially in places like Patagonia, because it's so popular adventure spot. But it's a couple from Denmark. They call themselves Viking motorcycle riders because I guess they're descendants of Viking, and they were riding 2 Honda motorcycles across Patagonia. This is called Perito Moreno Glacier, which is one of the largest glaciers in South America. And it was pretty massive. I mean, doesn't look that massive here, but it goes about 20 miles way in the back, so it's just humongous. And it stays, unlike the glaciers in Alaska, which is melting and it's just like getting shorter and smaller. This glacier is maintaining its size.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it grows a little bit. So it's kind of funny how climate change affects one region but doesn't affect the other.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of an interesting thing for me to learn. Another shot of where the train that we're riding, very rocky. And this is Torres del Paine's National Park, which is one of the most beautiful national parks in Patagonia. We woke up after staying at a cabin, and it was just so beautiful. And then we were riding to a lake, and I was maneuvering a U-turn.
Those
And
pesky
then it was
U-turns,
because it's
man.
slippery, yeah.
Yeah. They get you.
Yeah, because you have very narrow road and you're trying to make a tight U-turn.
I get it.
It's a heavy bike, so
Sure.
it crashed and the windshield cracked but I couldn't get this bike back up by myself because it was kind of situated at an angle on a slope, and so I had to wait my friend to come and help me get the bike
You couldn't
up.
deadlift it up again?
Yeah, because
Bummer.
to do that you need to have a flat surface,
Sure.
but this was on the slope
Gotcha,
and
with
weird
you.
angle.
Mm-hmm.
This is Lago Grey, which is another beautiful spot in Torres del Paine. We're taking a break, and I walked up to the hill to take the shot. And here, if you could try to get the audio, that would be great. So this is riding in the Torres del Paine with the Cerro Torre, which is the peaks that you see in the background.
System's a little finicky back there. We may have to make do without.
Oh,
Never mind. System works perfectly. Never any problems.
It's a lot of fun to ride on a slippery gravel road because you're testing your riding skill. And you have to stand up to have lower center of gravity. Put all your weight on the foot peg instead of on the seat, which is higher.
Huh.
So that's one of the techniques of riding on a gravelly road.
Interesting.
You stand up,
I had not
it
thought
tends
about
to
that.
lower the center of gravity of the
Right.
motorcycle.
Makes sense.
So you get a better balance and better traction. And we're leaving Torres del Paine National Park, and we're riding along this river that flows through this national park. It's so beautiful. There's the Cerro Torre down there. It's so beautiful.
Your little speedometer right there, is that in miles or kilometers
That's
per hour?
in miles.
Oh, yeah, that's in miles.
Yeah, you could set these displays in both kilometers or miles. I
Sure.
just set it in miles
Makes
because
sense.
that is what I'm used to.
Yeah.
This is a small town of Puerto Natales near Ushuaia, and this is a prehistoric animal called Mylodon.
Okay.
It's a giant anteater, but it used
okay.
to live there. So just like in Alaska, there is a mammoth, woolly mammoth, that is
Right.
extinct. This particular animal is extinct, but used to live in that region,
Mm-hmm.
Mylodon. So I took a picture there.
Big old
And
boy.
I don't know whose fingers these are, but it was there, so I took a picture in the Puerto Natales.
If anyone has lost any fingers, they're in. They're there. There they are. Go get them.
These are animal called guanaco, and they're kind of a llama family of animals, and they're like everywhere because they're pretty large, ranch, open area. But one interesting thing is many of them try to jump over these barbed wire fences, and sometimes they get caught and they die. And you could see a lot of dead guanacos hanging on the barbed wire fence in that region. And there are sheep down there. And sheep farming was the original industry of the European settlers when they migrated from Europe to this region, like 200 or 300 years ago.
Right.
And sheep do well in this very rough terrain, and they're able to graze and produce wool, which was a huge industry down
Sure.
there.
Right.
Yeah. And we get near the Straits of Magellan, and that ship is a replica of the ship that Ferdinand Magellan, the first human to circumnavigate the earth, rode on to travel from Portugal down to this region, Magellan Straits, out to Pacific, into Philippines, and back to Portugal. So first human to circumnavigate. He didn't quite complete the trip because he got killed in the Philippines, but he planned the whole thing, and his crew was able to finish the trip.
Uh-huh.
Took him like 3 years.
Wow.
They left with like 200 people on 5 different ships, but only one ship made back with like 30 people survived. So a huge loss of human life and ships, but at least they circumnavigated the earth.
If you had the opportunity and you could sign up to go on that expedition, not knowing if you'd make it back, would you go?
Probably not.
The odds are a little too steep for that one, for sure.
I mean,
No,
I have a
getcha.
family. If I was single and I was adventurous back then, maybe.
Hell yeah.
But at this juncture, I have to be honest, I don't think I could sign up.
That's fair. That's
Just too much unknown.
Mm-hmm.
I love the mystery and the curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
but I have my limit.
Understandable.
That's a shot of Straits of Magellan. As we're about to cross the Magellan to get into Tierra del Fuego, which is a big island on the southern tip of South America, where the city of Ushuaia is.
And what is that big thing sticking up? Is that anything? It looks like the Michelin Man, like the Bob's Big Boy.
I could not tell.
Can't tell.
I could not tell what
All
that
right.
structure is.
Moving along.
Another shot along the road, lots of dirt road.
That's a big sky.
And this is a screenshot I took as I was riding down to Tierra del Fuego, Ushuaia. So you could see parts of North America on the lower left-hand side,
Mm-hmm.
and the entire South American continent on the middle. And then the red dot was where I'm riding, and to the right there's a white thing, that's Antarctica.
Yep.
So we're so close to Antarctica, it's just a few hundred miles off,
Yeah.
right? And the South Pole is not far from there. So it just kind of gives you the sense of location of where you are,
Right.
where I was. And that was. And to cross the Straits of Magellan, we have to get on the ferry. And so this is a photo shot of the motorcycles and cars and trucks that are on the ferry. It's a short crossing, but pretty choppy water. Then eventually we make it to Ushuaia. This is another spot where the people take pictures to kind of prove that they made it to the southern end of South America,
Mm-hmm.
or the end of the world, as some call it. This is the terminal point of the Pan American Highway, which starts all the way from Alaska down to this point.
Wow.
So Pan American Highway is one of the longest highways, but there's a break in near Panama and Colombia.
Right.
And so other than that jungle area, it runs all the way from Alaska to this point.
Well, there's a canal there, right?
Yeah, I forgot the name of the Darien Gap. Thank you, Chad. So Darien Gap is that jungle area that's very dangerous to get through,
Sure.
for a number of different reasons.
Right.
But a couple of motorcyclists did ride through that jungle area even, which is pretty amazing.
Could be you next. You could do it.
I could, but it would take about a year to plan everything for that. But
You may have to negotiate that with your wife.
yeah, that's right.
Fair enough.
That's right. And then I rode to the another side road, dirt road, to go as far south as I can. So this is the marker. That's the end of the dirt road in the south of Ushuaia. And I hiked down this very thick trail to get down to the water to dip my feet to commemorate my arrival. And the water was very cold, so I'm like smiling partly because my feet are freezing right there. Because it's like ice cold water from the Antarctica.
Right.
Because Antarctica is
Oh, yeah.
just not too far away from there. We're hiking back up. And then, from Ushuaia, we have to ride 2 days to this town of Punta Arenas to return the bike and
Yes.
fly back home. But the side wind was so strong. Patagonia is famous for that. It's strong side wind. So we have to counteract the side wind by leaning into it, and that's what this.
So
picture shows.
that's what the lean is. It's,
That's what
it's
the lean
winding
is. That's
so
right.
hard.
Wind is blowing so heavy, you have to lean to counteract that force.
Wow. That's nuts.
And when we got to this town of Punta Arenas, we found that there is a Korean ramen noodle shop owned by this Korean Chilean. So we went there to have some hot ramen noodle soup. It was really good. And all of us have like beards by then, and because we hadn't like shaved in a while, and
Sure.
that's ramen's noodle soup. And then I flew back home, arrived in LAX. My wife was nice to come to LA airport to pick me up.
That's
and my
love right
daughter
there.
prepared a nice welcome home sign for me,
That's
which was
very
very
sweet.
nice. So that was really a nice trip, and I was very happy to be back home safe.